Seattle pulling off an unbelievable finish in that Monday Night Football Week 15 contest between the Eagles and the Seahawks. Seattle winning the game. Very, very suspenseful game. Hurts, playing with an illness. No Geno Smith. Locke comes in, throws a dime to JSN. One of our favorite quiet, amazing little gems, but hard to play from week to week, to be honest. I mean, we get a lot of JSN questions. It's hard to know what you're going to get, but when you see things like that, you get so excited about the future. And congratulations to anybody that had JSN in their lineup. But also, we need to congratulate Kenneth Walker. DK Metcalf did some work at the end of the game. We've got a lot to discuss here. Monday Night Football Week 15 wrap-up. Week 16 waiver wire show begins right now.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
Live whenever news breaks. Live whenever a game ends, right? Or a series of games. If it's Sunday, we recap all the Sunday games. Monday, recap the Monday game. Thursday, recap the Thursday game. So we're here to recap that game that we just watched end right now, because I go live when the game ends. I go live. Hey, who can I go watch that's talking about the end of a game? This channel, this guy right here, because we do it.
Mashed potatoes!
Yeah, buddy.
We do it live. We do it live. And before we get into the Week 16 waiver wire material, let's just go over this game real quick. Let's go over the conferences too. We'll pull up the conferences right here. NFC, AFC conference. Well, there's Duble right there. Let's see if I have the other one. I think AFC is right here. I mean, this is gonna get crazy. This is what I live for more than anything. Even sometimes more than fantasy. This drama, all the potential, dramatic situations and endings, and you've got this Rams Seattle 7-7 fight over here in the NFC. Niners clinched the division. Congrats to the Niners, my boy Raj and all the Niner fans watching right now. Bucks Saints 7-7, 7-7. Vikings 7-7. Green Bay Packers 6-8. Philadelphia Eagles Cowboys both 10-4. So it's like, who's gonna grab these other two wild card spots? Because one of Dallas or Philly will have one of them. Obviously, we don't know who's gonna win the division. The Eagles could have taken a game lead had they won tonight, but they dropped the ball. They've been spiraling out of control. I still think they're a gamer type team. As soon as they get into the playoffs, clean slate mentality, could beat any team at any moment. That's the way I view the Kansas City Chiefs as well. That's the way I view the Buffalo Bills. There are three teams that I think are in sort of spiral mode, two of which are bouncing out, KC and Buffalo, but Philly is not. These three teams, Philly, Buffalo, KC, I believe they can reset everything once the playoffs kick off. It doesn't matter. They just got to get in, right? So Buffalo's got to get in. Philly's going to get in. KC's obviously getting in. They're going to clinch their division over here at 9-5. So it's like, Buffalo, I believe, does grab the spot. We'll go over to the AFC in a second, but man, this race is tight. I believe, if I'm predicting right here, the Saints don't have the muster to get it done. The Vikings don't have the ability. They could get it done, but I don't think they have the ability to get it done. Maybe they grab the third spot. I don't know. I think the Rams definitely, if I'm a betting man, grab one of the two remaining wildcard spots that are left over after Philly or Dallas grabs the first one. But it really is like up for, look, Minnesota could get it. I just think that, I don't know. When it comes down to it, is Tampa Bay playing? They're playing great. Rashad White's playing out of his mind. Mike Evans is a top, 5 wide receiver right now, the way he's playing. The Saints, I don't think, have what it takes. Falcons lost. They'd be in this conversation and we'd be in vomit mode. We're already throwing up in our mouth because of Arthur Smith and the misusage, the criminal misusage of Bijan Robinson. So good that they lost. I'm glad they lost. I'm rooting for the Falcons to lose. I'm rooting for Arthur Smith to fall flat on his face so he's removed immediately, if not in the offseason. But they're out of this contention here. Seattle became a gamer today. They became a potential wild card seed fighting team with all these 7-7 teams fighting for the final 2 spots. I think the Rams are going to grab one. I don't know, honestly, who's going to get the next one. Tampa Bay feels like maybe the lean, if Baker can stay healthy and all that. It's going to be exciting. And then we look over on the AFC side of the fence and we say Miami Dolphins going to clinch that division most likely, but the Buffalo Bills are 100% in strike mode. And yeah, maybe it wasn't super pretty across all facets of their game, but they ran the ball like monsters in Week 15, and so that's all that needed to be done. I mean, Josh Allen still got done what he needed to get done. He only threw for under 100 yards. It was kind of an awkward, weird fantasy football stat line, but I still love Josh Allen going forward. We'll talk about Diggs later. Do you sit Diggs? Do you start Diggs? I honestly can't imagine sitting him unless I had a whole bench full of Rashee Rices, and I'm like, look, let's just let it ride on these guys. But I think Diggs is more of a start than a sit, but he's certainly a guy pissing off a lot of people, and I can understand why. So we look at Miami clinching the division. We look at Buffalo as grabbing one of the 3 wild card spots, at least in my opinion, and the chances, of that happening, I think, are pretty good given what I think is about to unfold in the final weeks here. But eliminated Jets, eliminated Patriots, clinched the division. Baltimore Ravens, 11-3. They're kind of the lead dog in the AFC right now. Everybody else is kind of trying to get back to smooth rhythm in order to be in contention with the Ravens. But I think some of these, we'll go over in a second. But there are definitely a couple teams that I think can do that. The Miami Dolphins, if they were to get in a groove and stay healthy, the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs. Those are the 3 teams I believe are the only 3 teams, in my opinion, that can battle it out and outplay the Ravens when push comes to shove. Not only beat the Ravens, let's say, in a title game, but have enough firepower to weather through winning multiple games in a row. I know some of these teams have the ability to beat any one single team at any one given moment, right? But how many of these teams have the ability, the tenacity, the endurance, the quarterback play, the consistency to win multiple games in a row, get to a title game, then beat the Baltimore Ravens? I say it's Buffalo. Even though they're up and down, I think they do get in a groove. I think it's KC. Even though they've been up and down, I think they do get in a groove again, resetting the table, going straight into the playoffs with a different mentality. But let's see who grabs these 3 wildcard spots if we're guessing here. Buffalo gets 1. Cleveland Browns pretty much are almost, you think, like locked into getting the, I guess, number 1. Buffalo's fighting for the 2nd or 3rd wild card spot. Cleveland gets 1. Buffalo gets hopefully the 2nd one, in my opinion. And then after that, it's like you look at, okay, Jacksonville clinches the division, or the Texans clinch the division, or the Colts clinch the division. Then you have 2 teams that are tied with the Buffalo Bills record-wise. Denver Broncos are a game back. I don't know that they're going to be able to get it done. So you have Houston, Indy, Jacksonville, Cincinnati, and Buffalo, all fighting for 2 of the remaining 3 wildcard spots that are left over after the Cleveland Browns grabbed the first one because they've got a 9-5 record. Who's it going to be? I believe it's Buffalo. I believe it is Houston. And I almost believe that Houston wins this division. It's a 3-way tie for the division top spot. No one's leading. Jacksonville 8-6, Colts 8-6, Texans 8-6. If Stroud comes back this week, guess what? I believe the Houston Texans win the division, meaning the Buffalo Bills, the Bengals, who are 8-6 as well, the Colts and the Jaguars all fight for 2 spots. I think Buffalo gets 1. I don't think the Colts, I think they have the ability to get in there, but they'd be in and then one and done. If I had to project, look, Browning's playing really well, but Jamar Chase, I think that's a big deal. I'm going to say Jaguars. Jaguars, Texans, Buffalo Bills, 3 wild cards seeds. Houston wins the division. That's going to be my prediction. Amazing, fun little exercise, and we'll redo that each week once the week comes to a close as well. Before we get into the Week 16 waiver wire content, let's just look at these stat lines from these players from tonight. I mean, what a fun little game this was. Jalen Hurts did well from a fantasy perspective, minus the 2 INTs. I guess depending on how heavily weighted turnovers are in your league, this could be a great game, a good game, or a bad game. Jalen Hurts pulling in. We got 270 people in here already. Please punch the thumb up button. 270 people in here and only 37 thumbs up. If you could punch that button for your boy, that would be very, very helpful. Hurts, 2 INTs. So if it's -1 or -2 for INTs, not a big deal. 143 passing, 82 rushing yards, and 2 touchdowns on the ground. At the end of the day, you at least consider that a very good day. It doesn't necessarily mean it's the best fantasy outing you could have hoped for. Some of you had Purdy and Hurts, and Purdy did outscore Hurts, so that was a good play on your part if you did go the safer route, assuming he could sit with the illness. A.J. Brown, a lot to be desired, 5 for 56. It's salvageable, but it's not, it's a salvage day. 5 for 50 for Devonta Smith, salvage day. Goddard, 4 for 30. It's okay. I wouldn't even call that salvage, but then you look at DeAndre Swift, 18 for 74, 2 catches for 1 yard. This is one of those games where it's like, the yards aren't bad. The production's kind of good, but the fantasy points aren't going to amount to much. There's no touchdowns. There's very little yardage in the receiving game. It was just a meh type of day for DeAndre Swift owners. Really, the only player that did amazingly well in certain pieces of his game was Hurts, and then obviously the passing kind of hampered your ability to drop like massive points. But this was a Seattle Seahawks performance here. We got Kenneth Walker, 19 totes for 86 yards and a touchdown. He ripped off a monster touchdown, long of 23. Walker also pulled in 3 receptions for 26 yards. And for everybody that said that Kenneth Walker is never going to be a good receiving back, for everybody that said Kenneth Walker is not going to be even thrown to, for everybody that said Kenneth Walker will get phased out and they drafted Charbonnet because they want to replace him, they don't trust him catching the football, you all, ladies and gentlemen, need to take a lap. Maybe 3 for 26 isn't the best receiving line that he's capable of getting. I'll tell you right now, it's not. He is still 100% one of the most talented in open space players, pass catching capable players, even if underused, in the entire National Football League. You, my friend, Kenneth Walker doubter, need to take a big fat lap.
Kenneth Skywalker. Kenneth Lightsaber Swinging Skywalker.
Unbelievable. Thanks, Smitty. Lost by 5 points because of your Bijan hype train advice. Done with fantasy. Done with fantasy. God good. Thanks, man. Okay. It's so funny. Like, and I don't blame people for being mad that they're out of their fantasy championship. But what's crazy is, where was your negativity at all leading into this? Like, you're doing well, things are going well. Maybe you got Gibbs, maybe you got some other gems that you got from this channel, and things are going good. The moment something doesn't line up right for your team, you're blaming not only me, you're blaming Bijan for your whole team losing. There's more players in your lineup than Bijan Robinson. And let me tell you another thing. There's no way your entire team, it was going to be rare, is going to pop off at the same time. You have to be prepared for a player like Bijan or Achane not to have more than 6, 7, 8, 10 points. I know Bijan didn't even have that. But when people say things like, oh, yeah, Achane really screwed me out of my... He scored you 9 to 10 points. Like, he had a salvageable day. And you're sitting here complaining about how you lost because of another player you put into your lineup. And so you're welcome, I am him. I'm glad I gave you a lot of enjoyment watching this channel. And if you're going to leave because you lost, that's on you. The door is always opened. It's sitting here, the light's on for you, and you're welcome back. But I don't know what makes you think, this would be Bijan's fault just because he had a bad day. Hit that like button on your way in the door. I'm him can hit the, I guess, thumb down button. I'm sure he will on the way out the door, but that's okay. That's okay. We can't win them all. We can't win them all. Smitty has hit on so many gems. Thank you. Appreciate you, bro. It's okay. And I don't want anybody to think I get all upset about this and it bothers me. We get haters in here all the time. Whenever there's a bad playing player that we've hyped up like a madman and they go out and have, even H-Han having a 10-point game, everybody's like, oh my God, how do you feel now? I feel great. I feel great. I don't know what makes people think that a lot of us aren't winning right now because we had Bijan drop a goose egg. That doesn't mean that the majority of this channel isn't still dominating 1, 2, 3, all of their leagues just because one player isn't doing well. The assumptions some people make when they do badly and they think the channel is doing badly, like some people come in and say, yeah, well, this was a bad year. Well, maybe for you. And even if you did have a bad year and things didn't line up right, that's the way fantasy football goes. And a lot of this is the fun and the journey and the community, the knowledge you gain, the lessons you learn for the next season. And I hate to break it to you, but a lot of people that may have lost a league this week are still in 2 or 3 others. One of my best teams I built this season didn't even make the playoffs. And teams that I don't even really like still are absolutely crushing it. That's the nature of fantasy football. And sometimes multiple things stack up against you, and that's the bad luck. I always say fantasy, and people could argue about the different weights of this. I think fantasy is 75%, a sum total of skill, knowledge, ability to decipher, ability to organize information, ability to decide. That's all intelligence to me. It's not just how much do you know, but how much do you allow others to seep in, and you take the good and the bad and you sift through it like a factory line. Here comes information. I like that one. I'll set that aside. I don't like that one. I set that aside. That's fantasy football intelligence. That is the ability to decipher between content and figure out what you want to absorb and what you don't. All of that sum total to me is 75%. Now, if somebody says it's 50-50, that's because, no offense, but I think you need to get better at absorbing what you like and what you don't like, because guess what? Content creators everywhere. There is not a single content creator that's going to get more than, on the best day of their life, 75% of the questions correct that they get asked, because people aren't asking Mickey Mouse questions like, do I start, this guy or this bench player? It's 50-50 calls. You're going to be really, really close to 55-60% on some of the accuracy numbers for those, and the best of the best. And if you consider this the best, then we're getting 75% best on a day of tough call questions rolling in. And so I'm telling you, I believe fantasy football is 75% skill. It's just the people that think it's 50-50 don't know how to absorb information properly. And that's the thing you work on. And I've got training courses on thefantasyfootballshow.com coming on how to assess, how to allow somebody, as I always tell you, you hear me say this phrase a lot, allow me to push you over the fence and nudge you, not take you and throw you over. If you're not on a certain side of a conversation, don't let somebody, just because they say so, grab you and pull you over the fence. Fantasy football content should have you, when you're teeter-tottering on the fence, one leg over on one side, one leg over on another, the content creator that you trust, hopefully I'm that guy, you allow me to help nudge you over the fence when you're on the fence. That's what fantasy football is. And if you get good at that, and you absorb what you can, you ignore what you can. Even if you don't like my take next year on the next rookie, and you say, Smitty's a little high on rookies, which people say to me all the time, it doesn't faze me a single bit. We've had rookies like Gibbs absolutely earn their keep. Absolutely. Tank Dell was earning his keep. You can say I'm too high on rookies. It's the right rookies. It's the special rookies. Did I miss on Bijan? I'd like to say, yeah, I missed on Bijan at the end of the day. But I honestly don't feel like our assessment of talent was wrong. And I honestly don't think that very many people could, in a logical way, explain what was going to happen with Arthur Smith, given how much he used Tyler Algier, and given they were the number one rushing team in the entire National Football League in 2022. The red flags for Arthur Smith to do what he did weren't present because they drafted Bijan inside the top 10, something that also couldn't be measured because it hadn't been done before in ages. Kenneth Walker, 19 totes, 86 yards, and a touchdown.
Mashed potatoes! Yeah, buddy.
Kenneth Skywalker. Kenneth Lightsaber Swinging Skywalker.
Kenny Walker was a madman tonight. If he only got more carries, 4.5 a pop, a lot of tough yards, dragged down his yards per carry because he was getting used in like grunt work, you know what I mean? But he was up for it. 19 carries, 86 yards, a touchdown. Fantastic. DK stepped up big at the end. It still was some total, not a great day, but he salvaged it. 5 for 78 and made some big catches. Jackson, Smith, and Jigba came through big time for people that put him in their flex spot. 4 for 48 and a touch. His future is exciting. Lockett is tailing down. 3 for 21. You can tell he's older. It's catching up to him. It is JSN season. Not only now, in spots and in flex play, but it's JSN season. JSN season. Walking into 2024.
To the moon.
Excited to talk about JSN over and over and over this offseason. Freaking let's go. I enjoy your content, Smitty. For me personally, when I'm changing my lineups last minute, I lose most times. Yeah, look, that's the nature of second guessing yourself too. That's like when you fill out an NCAA bracket, like a March Madness bracket. When you start tinkering with it over and over and over and over, your first time you wrote it up was probably the one to lock in. So I had Kincaid and Bijan in my lineup and advanced. That's the other thing, Jesus, is people are like, I can't tell you how many nasty messages, which again doesn't bother me. It just means people are upset and they're instead of inward blaming, they're outward blaming everybody else. But I can't tell you how many questions or comments I've received or emails or DMs. Hey, Smitty, Kincaid, and you killed me with Kincaid in my lineup. You put Kincaid in your lineup. I told you over and over, could he break through the rookie wall that he's kind of going through right now, or will he not? It's a risk. It's a high risk. Every time I was asked a Kincaid question, I said, high risk, high reward. The problem is when the high risk enters the equation and the high reward doesn't, everybody who said they accepted the high risk, high reward, they pretended they were okay with high risk, high reward, get pissed off when it's all high risk and no reward. That is what happens when you put a high risk, high reward player in your lineup. Kincaid still has the ability to do. Keep in mind that Sam Laporta was in a slump. And there were a lot of people saying, well, he's not showing up. How are those people feeling now? How many people, probably not a ton, but probably a bigger percentage than anybody imagines, how many people do you think sat Sam Laporta before he started getting back into his groove? Probably a few. How many people do you think, take a guess in the chat right now, how many people do you think benched Jahmyr Gibbs this week? In fact, let me just go to the start percentage. I wonder if that's going to reflect this current week. But tell me a good guess at how many people you think started Jahmyr Gibbs this week. I wonder if this number is going to be shockingly lower. I think it was around 87%. So there were about 10 to 15% of people that owned him that didn't play him. Jahmyr Gibbs exploded. Some guys you got to ride and die with until they bounce back. Anyway. Okay, Anthony, appreciate you for your kind words. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Let's roll and talk about the Week 16 waiver wire, guys. There could be some other players. You could throw some out. Bench Gibbs? Hell nah. Dude, 3 games in a row. How many questions did I get all week leading into this week? Do I go Gibbs or do I go whatever? Gibbs has been bad 3 weeks in a row. Remember the guy that called in arguing? He's been bad three games in a row. Yeah, but how was he the 4 games prior? Top 4 for all running backs in the National Football League? What was it? Running back 1, running back 3, running back 2, running back 3. I think in back-to-back games for Gibbs. Then he went through a 3-game drought, and everybody started saying, well, what do I do now? What do you mean, what do you do now? You start him and thank him later. And now look at Jahmyr Gibbs back on top again. You got to start your studs. You can't be playing this chasing the points game. You can't. Okay, so let's get into the waiver wire stuff. To be quite frank, the roster percentages, hit that like button on your way in the door. We got 100 thumbs up. Please hit that thumb up button. How many people we got in the building right now? We got 371 in here. Let's get to these waiver wire guys. So, let's throw out Chandler right now, and let's see how many people. He's available in 45% of leagues, so he absolutely deserves to be on this list. My first inclination was to take him off because, I mean, how many people didn't listen last week? How many people actually didn't pick this guy up? Apparently a lot. And I know some of that has to do with bench size and all that, but Chandler's available in 45% of leagues or more across a bunch of different platforms, average. Number one pickup of the week. Number one pickup of the week. This is a player. JSN, is JSN available in that many leagues? Let's look. I mean, if he is, he's absolutely needs to be on this list. Jackson Smith and Jigba. 20 to 25% availability. That makes it almost borderline not somebody we're going to list, but let's put it on here and just do a caveat on it. But JSN is available. We usually cut it off around 27 to 29. I like it to be around 30% availability to hit the waiver wire show. Otherwise, you get a lot of people, not that I care what people say complaining wise, but that are like, this waiver wire ranking doesn't help me at all. Like, what are we doing? I'm in a shark league, Smitty. So JSN's barely qualifying, but it's a great, great point to at least discuss. 45% of leagues he's available. This is a league winner. This is a running back 2. He's a 4.38 40 guy. We talked about this leading into the week, that he's so quick, and what I basically said about him all week was that this will be the first week he gets to prepare this as a starter. He was kind of pedestrian, replacing Madison, coming in and not really being the lone starter all week, but just having, a remainder of a game to take over. He ran the ball for like 11, 12 times for like 40 yards or something like that. It was very pedestrian, but everybody had to say, to say to themselves, what's going to happen when he gets full, ability, keys to the lineup, full ability to unload and leash all over the field? And what did he do? Unloaded on the field. And so if you, for some reason, held onto your waiver wire dollars, or you have the number 1 overall pick, and this guy's sitting out there, I don't care if you need him. I don't care about any of that. You're doing a full load drop.
Initiate full load drop.
There's just no excuse for not unloading a full load drop or your number 1 pick if this guy's sitting out there. He is a high-end running back 2 potentially, but very safe flex play. Fantastic running back 2 if you're in injured territories where you're needing an RB2, and here he is, your savior. 100% the best pickup of the week if available. Now, Zamir White is up there because of his ability, but is he the starter this week? What is the status of Jacobs? What does that look like? And if I pull up Jacobs news right now, I don't know that we're going to have much information, but the odds are he'll probably be closer to playing by a significant amount this week. I don't see anything in here that suggests anything on any news wire, anywhere, any news that I have, any access I have to suggest that he's playing. But I'd say he's definitely probably leaning a little more toward 50%, if not a little higher. So you got to ask yourself, with Pacheco being back this week, and he had shoulder surgery, but he is back. He's already been greenlit to play Week 16 by Andy Reid. So McKinnon gets regulated back to a receiving role, change of pace role. But guess what? CEH is the one that takes the hit, because this is the guy that has Pacheco's carries. This guy's sharing a little bit of that workload, but he's almost got his own little situation going on that if you take Pacheco and put him in and you pull out whatever Pacheco is going to impact out, it's going to be mostly CEH. Now, I'm not saying that McKinnon's earned your trust. And I'm not saying he isn't high risk, high reward. Think Kincaid this week. There's high risk, high reward. This guy could get nothing. And he is very touchdown dependent. But KC is kind of in a rhythm. They're trying to be. Rice is their top receiver. Kelsey's worried about Taylor Swift and nowhere to be found. Travis Kelce is not focused. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what people say about me. But he's in this relationship where he's not the alpha, and he absolutely is letting it work him over. And you can say whatever you want. You can say, oh, it's just he's getting older. He's going to need to focus more to be on point as he's getting older, and he clearly isn't focused. So guess who's going to come in and kind of pick up the slack like he has been, catching passes so that Mahomes does have some reliable options. And I'm not saying Kelsey can't do well down the stretch. It's just he's been inconsistent because of all this mess. I think McKinnon's a very strong play. And if McKinnon's playing his normal role, probably, I can't guarantee it, but probably no matter what happens with Pacheco, CEH takes the bigger hit. It feels to me that McKinnon's safer than Zamir White. However, those tables can get turned really quickly because if Jacobs is out one more week, this is the better play over McKinnon. So you really have to stay on top of it. It's not something that can't be flipped later. It's certainly something, and they play each other in week 16, which is also a very interesting turn of events. But I absolutely love both these guys, and whether Jacobs is out or in determines whether McKinnon's here or here. And Pacheco is back, so that's not determining anything, and I still have him in this mix. Now, past that, we look around, and I mean, clearly J-Mo would be in this conversation. He's only available, like I said, in roughly 20 to 24% of leagues, so almost not enough to put out here. But I think J-Mo's or JSN is definitely in this conversation. I think Noah Brown's very, very crafty if you need a wide receiver. I think, if you needed a quarterback, then, Baker and Browning would definitely be in this mix to be on the same level as JSN. So we're going to put them kind of in a little stack right here, little triangle formation. And then you're probably putting Chase Brown in the same grouping here because Chase Brown is getting work. He's getting fed. He's doing well. He's doing good work. I really like what Chase Brown is throwing down. And the problem is Chase Brown needs high efficiency to do really well with low production, low volume. But he's been doing it. So he's a risky play. You put him in, you're almost chasing points. It could be one of those things where you put him in, he has 8 carries for 4 yards. That can happen. Right now he's getting that 10 to 12 carries and he's doing something with it. Or he's getting the receptions. Chase Brown, last week, if I pull up his stats and give you that, it's 7 carries for 23 yards, 3 catches for 28. That was Chase Brown this week. So 7 carries for 23 yards, 3 catches for 28. Kind of, I think something got called back, though, a pretty decent play. He had the week before that, he was running back 10 instead of running back 34 this week. Running back 10 on 8 carries. 8 carries, 25 yards, 3 yards a carry. It wasn't a good day. Both of these, this week and last week, were not good on the ground. Where he's doing well is getting 3 and 3 targets back to back, but that's low volume. You got to be ultra efficient to do something with 3 targets. But he had 80 yards and a touchdown. But he did have a big play, I believe, called back this week, if I remember correctly. That's why when I just looked at his line, I'm like, well, this is even lower than I thought, because I remember seeing him pop off on a big play. Probably got called back on a holding. But the point being that he doesn't have the volume yet. If Mixon went down, he'd be right here with Chandler. Let me make that abundantly clear, because he's so talented. We loved him all offseason long. The opportunity's not there for him. I admittedly was down on Mixon because of his age, and he's fallen into a very, very solid rhythm right now, and Mixon's very, very trustable right now. Mixon's doing absolutely phenomenal. I admit that. There's a lot of things I'm going to be wrong on. That's one of them. But I believe had Mixon gone down, this guy would have exploded because he was a big, big sleeper of ours. And if something happens to Mixon in the next week or two or whatever, if he gets abducted by aliens safely, this guy's going to the moon. But for right now, because the volume's not there, he's a high-risk, very fun player to pick up and start if you're in desperate need. but he's ranking around here underneath these three big dogs here. CEH, I can't put any higher given that Pacheco's back. Noah Brown's fantastic. He had a nothing burger, 0 points 2 weeks ago. Then this past week, he had an 80-plus yard touchdown game. And if let's say, I'm not saying he isn't startable without C.J. Stroud, because he just did that 80-yard touchdown performance without Stroud. But if Stroud's back, I'm even more excited about putting Noah Brown into a third wide receiver role. This is Justice Hill, not Taysom. Taysom's not really available in a lot of leagues. Justice Hill's in the conversation because Keaton Mitchell tore his ACL, which is horrible. Boyd, depending on Jamar Chase news. Curtis Samuel's a nice play. J-Mo's right around this territory. Hunter Henry, if you need a tight end. You could even say if you need a tight end badly, you could put him anywhere in this like JSN territory, but it depends on, what you need. Palmer, I'm not a huge fan of Palmer, but he's good and serviceable. Kraft, if you need another tight end, but he's more ranked around this Noah Brown, J-Mo, or below that. That's the waiver wire list for week number 16. It's very short. We're getting down to the wire. There's, of course, not going to be a plethora of players to grab and just shove right into your lineup. But if Chandler, McKinnon, Zamir White, JSN, Chase Brown, Browning Baker are available and you need guys, these are them. These are them. Let's hit these super chats. Andre with the first super of the night gets a standing O.
Mashed potatoes.
That's my boy. Says, hope K9 brings this next week. Let's go.
Kenneth Skywalker.
Love Kenny Skywalker, bro. Love him. Thank you, Andre, for the super chat. $5 hauler. Bills win out and Dolphins lose out. Bills, AFC East champs. I would love it, George from the Bay. I would love it. I'm such a big Josh Allen fan. Half my family's from Buffalo, so I have a natural inclination to always, cheer for the Bills and Josh Allen. I love Josh Allen. But I don't think there's a bias involved. I truly believe, and I can be unbiased. They don't hear me sitting here saying the Cardinals are going to do this, the Cardinals are going to do that. Very critical of Kyler Murray. If there were a bias involved, you would know. This is me just saying Josh Allen, even coming into the NFL when everybody doubted him and said he was going to be an absolute, garbage quarterback, no accuracy, wouldn't be able to throw for yards. I said his rookie year before he took a snap, he'd be a top 1 to 5, not top 5, top 1 to 5 quarterback in the National Football League. Walked into the NFL and had one of the 2 or 3 strongest arms before he had stepped onto an NFL football field. I love Josh Allen. I love the Josh Allen hate. The hate for Josh Allen reminds me a lot of the hate for Aaron Rodgers, and somehow that fuels me. But yeah, I love the prediction, bro. I don't know if they win the division, but I'm certainly rooting for them to win a wild card spot. I'm going and I'm going to be rooting for them to be potential, title appearer. I think they'll appear in a title game and be one of the last 2 teams standing in the AFC, but we'll see. I'm going to start Laporta over Hawkinson this week. I don't blame you one single bit, but Achane or Hawkinson in the flex. This is where you're going to hear realism from me, okay? This is where Bob comes in. Box score Bobby. All right, prepare for take 1. All right, action.
He's a box score Bobby. He's a little sloppy. Box score Bobby. He's a box score Bobby. He's so sloppy. Bobby.
This is where box score Bobby is going to come in and say something. I'm going to be real with you, though. This is where Bobby comes in and says, you can't start this guy. He goes from, in most everyone's eyes that I believe is looking at it correctly, he goes from being a running back 1 to not startable off of a bad game. That's an overreacting Oscar right there. Should you start regulating him as a running back 2? Could you regulate him as a running back 3, a flex play? Absolutely. And in this case, that's what you're doing. So, Case, you're not doing anything wrong by weighing your option of Hawkinson, probably safer than Achane, higher risk, higher reward. But if anybody thinks, and there was a couple comments yesterday and today already on the YouTube channel. It says, Smitty, tell me you're not going to tell people to start Achane anymore. Are you done with this phase in your life? Like, if you think that that's how the Jahmyr Gibbs owner got to where the Jahmyr Gibbs owner got by giving up on a player with a bad game that was still very serviceable. He had 9 to 10 points depending on your scoring format. Like, get out of here acting like every player is going to blow up every game. You have to be patient. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. I know we're at the end of the race right now, and I know that maybe Achane, that kind of hurt to have him drop 10 points. You were expecting 45. But if anybody thinks I'm going to stop starting Achane because he had a 10-point game, you got another thing coming. They fed Mostert. They wanted to go after the record. They fed Mostert. The game script was crazy. It was out of hand. They just kept doing what they were doing. Things were looking really solid without Tyreek Hill. They thought we're cruising. We don't need to necessarily get Achane hurt. He kind of wanted to rest him. It was a kind of a game off. And it was what it was. And if you think I'm running away from Achane, then you don't know me very well. And this ain't digging heels in or nothing. This is me saying, people saying he's not good. People trying to say, well, now it's true. Okay, now we know he's not good. Those are the same people that walked away from Jahmyr Gibbs. Those are the same people that 3 weeks ago walked away from Jahmyr Gibbs. 2 weeks ago walked away from Jahmyr Gibbs. 1 week ago walked away from Jahmyr Gibbs. Because Jahmyr Gibbs had 3 games in a row prior to this week where he slumped. Where are those doubters? There's so many people saying, do I sit him? Do I sit him? Do I sit him? How does that feel? Because if you sit Achane or Jahmyr Gibbs, that's what's going to happen to you. One day, you're going to put them on your bench, and they're going to explode. If you want to regulate them to a running back 3 or flex play, I'm fine with that. And so, Case, that's what you got going on here. And the only thing I can tell you is I would start Achane, but Hawkinson, Laporta needs to be your tight end. But Hawkinson is safer. Achane's higher risk, higher reward. So depending on how you want to roll it. Doesn't mean you're wrong for putting Hawkinson in for the safe points. Hawkinson could still get 100 yards and a touch. He's done it before. I don't know if I feel that way about him right now in this situation, though. But I think he's certainly solid. He's certainly solid. He's certainly good chance for a touchdown, 80 yards. If that's all you need, then that's safe. It doesn't matter. You can do what you want. Don't worry about what anybody says. Don't worry about what I say about Achane. But if anybody thinks I'm sitting Achane, if anybody thinks I'm changing my tune because he had 10 points, you don't know me. You don't know me by now. And you ain't ever gonna ever know me. Merry Christmas, Smitty. I lost in my $150 dynasty. Bijan, Kelsey, London, Lamar, Pollard. Still 13 and 14 playoffs. Okay, you're still in 13 of the 14. Keep pimping. Haters gonna hate. Thank you, Daniel. Appreciate your super chat. You are the man. No worries at all. Bijan, I'll be on again next year. Got him at the 12 pick. I can't wait to see where his ADP is. And I know that the general thinking by most people is going to be to run away from Bijan. But the funny thing is, who says that without even knowing where he's getting drafted? How can you say you're not going to go after Bijan if you don't know where he's getting drafted? Doesn't that determine whether you're going to run away from him? And Arthur Smith, I mean, we need him to be fired. If he's fired, I bet you a lot of people jump on the Bijan train. I think the offseason hype will be huge. I don't think you'll steal him away if Arthur Smith's gone. If Arthur Smith's there, I think a lot of people will doubt him. And even then, we'll have questions. We will only go near him at certain levels. Is anybody taking him in the top 5 or 10? Probably not. If Arthur Smith's gone and a new coach comes in and says we're running Bijan to the moon, he's going to go in the top 10. It just really matters where he's going as to whether we're investing. Gibbs is rotisserie set and forget it. Yeah, let's go, bro. Gibbs to the moon. Actually, Gibbs to Saturn. Mr. T, appreciate your $2 hauler. You're the man, the myth, the legend. Isaac says you don't have to explain yourself, bro. We're all gamblers here. We know the game, how the game goes. You win some and you lose some. Appreciate your insights. Thank you, Isaac. I appreciate you. And I know I don't have to explain myself. I'm not even trying to sound, like I'm trying to defend anything. I'm just merely here to lay it all out, and I don't run from any comments. I don't run from, my L's. I don't run from my misses. I know some people like to pretend I do because it sounds like the fun thing to say. It's to get a little spotlight on you, come in and throw a little hate and say, hey, everybody's going to look at me. I'm standing up to them. I'm not here to defend my L's. I'm here to tell you that I take L's all the time. I'm not a perfect person, and I certainly don't feel like I need to defend myself, but I won't run away from comments. I won't run away. That's the difference between maybe me and somebody else. And you may think that's me getting defensive. This is my resting face. I ain't mad about nothing. But I'm not going to run away. If I see a negative, watch another creator not read the comments. Somebody's going to say something negative and they're just going to go. They're afraid to address it. They're afraid to have a conversation about it. If I see something, I address it. And that's probably why it comes off on, I don't need to defend anything. Start 3 next week. Waddle, Puka, HN. Thank you, Isaac. Appreciate you, bro. Start 3 next week. Waddle, Puka, HN, Hubbard, K9. Puka. Bro. Chat, who are you starting? List off 3. I'm going to go. If HN's healthy and going, I'm playing HN. I don't care what anybody says. Dallas can, they can be run on. I think HN's special too. But I'm probably going HN. I'm probably going, Walker's so hard to sit after that game. Walker looks so good in this game. They just need to feed the man the rock. He's got Tennessee next week. Waddle, I guess we need to wait on, if Tyreek Hill plays, Waddle becomes a little less valuable. But for me, it's Puka and HN locked and loaded, and then it becomes Waddle K9, depending on the news on Hill. And even if Hill doesn't play, it's not like we wouldn't play Hill or play Waddle if Hill plays. I just think we need to weigh that one out, Manny. If I had to decide now, we'll just say in PPR, full PPR, I'd probably lean Waddle slightly, but we need to have this conversation later in the week. It's a great question, bro. Let me drag these supers on screen. I got Gamer dropping 2 $10 haulers. That's fantastic. You're my man. J-Fam dropping 1. DeBalt dropping 1. You guys are absolutely legends in here, dropping super chats like monsters here on a Monday night after the game. Superfish coming in strong. I'm going to try and drop all these on screen and help everybody. And Aiden Ryder dropping a $20 hauler. We need to address that one before we address anything else. Let me just get all these checked off and so I could read the chat instead of having to have my super chat window pulled up to try and make sure I'm not missing anybody. Let's see here. Okay, let's go with Aiden's super chat. Aiden, appreciate you, bro. $20 hauler.
Alert. Super chat alert.
$20 super chat. $20 super chat.
Aiden, thank you so much, my guy. Terry deserves so much better. But what's the take on Eckler this week without Staley? Here, my take on Eckler is the same as my take on Diggs. You have 2 things you could do. You could react, which is understandable, and you could put in a safer option. Let's say you have McKinnon, and you just felt good about it, or let's say Chandler over Eckler. Give me Chandler. Zamir White starting over Eckler. That one's debatable, right? Because I think Eckler still has a chance. Here's the other thing, and this is just me being real. You guys want me to tell you how everybody else is looking at it? Do you want me to be afraid to go against the grain and say, everybody's saying he's completely gone, and I think he is for next year. He's done. He's toast. He put a fork in him. I'm not drafting Eckler unless he fell to the 10th or 12th round, and I'd take a little gamble. But the thing is, when I watch Eckler, there's still some solid plays he's throwing out. A lot of it is Staley. A lot of it is the play calling, which isn't necessarily all going to go away, but I think a lot of it's going to get revamped here. A lot of it is the usage of Eckler and the fact that they wanted to run multiple running backs when they have nobody there that's better than Eckler. Even if Eckler's washed to a significant degree, he's still the best running back on the roster. We saw Kelly try and do it for weeks when Eckler was out. He couldn't do anything. But even that, you wonder, well, if Eckler can't do anything, Kelly can't do anything. It really is the system. It really is the coaching. But I think unless you have a solid option as Chandler or a Waddle and it's a flex, like something like that, I'm putting Eckler on the bench for that. But do I sit him for very questionable plays? No, not in semifinal week, championship week. It's one of those things where you almost just ride it out. Pacheco is playing next week, of course, will. We hit that at the front. I know you probably just got here, but we've already hit that. But thank you, Will. Starting Achan, all hands on deck against the Cowboys. Let's go. Superfish, appreciate your super chat. You are the best. Ty Lee, another nail-biting loss to end my season. Thanks for the fun this year, Smitty. Think this might be my last year of the stress and depression after losing. Let me just to discuss this way of thinking real quick, and hopefully, Ty, I can change your mind. There was a time when somebody came up to you and said, hey, Ty Lee, or hey, Bob, or hey, Superfish, or hey, Anthony Zaroli, hey, the Private Pile, hey, Isaac, hey, Will, hey, Josh Montez, hey, David C., hey, Hybrid, hey, PVD. There's this little thing called fantasy football. So fun. You're on the edge of your seat. Nail biter, as Ty Lee said. You don't know if you're going to win. You don't know if you're going to lose. You put a little money down. It's not the end of the world. You know, $50, $100, $25. I don't know what your entry fee is, Ty Lee. I don't know if you're playing in a $1,000 entry fee. Dial it down. But like a $50 league, $100 league on the year, chance to win $1,200 or $800, whatever. But $100, even if you play in a $50 league, even if you play in a $20 league, even if you play Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty, where the minimum's $10. In each contest, you can find their $5 contest, do like $50 worth on the year, and just follow football that way. But somebody came to you and said, hey, Juan, Millie, hey, Ray G, hey, Paul Locke, hey, Private Pile, hey, Detest, hey, Isaac, hey, Superfish, hey, E111, hey, PVD, hey, Whistle D. They said, hey, this is a fun little game. You draft players, you put in a small amount of money, and you live on the edge of your seat until used to be week 16's end. Now it's week 17's end. And you said to yourself, that sounds fantastic. In some way along the path and journey, Ty Lee, you decided to take things so personal. You decided to, and this is not your fault. I'm not mad at you, Ty Lee. I'm just trying to give you a pep talk. You decided to say, I want to win by 100 or I don't want to play. There's so many people that don't care about winning a close race and having a fun, exciting time. They would rather know they won before Sunday even began. Like Thursday night, oh, I'm up by 100. Thank God, now I don't have to watch football on Sunday. What have we become? What have we become where we can't put our cojones on the table and say, let's let it ride. Monday night, your player versus my player. Let's have an exciting time. What happened to us? What happened to us? What happened to the people in the 80s and 90s that had the balls to worry about losing $100 on the year? And I'm not saying, look, money, I'm not even talking about the money, but like dial it down to $20, $10. Sometimes 100 could be a lot to a lot of people. I don't want anybody to take that the wrong way. I'm just saying, if you decide that this is not enough to worry about losing, $50 entry fee, done. I paid it, it's done. $20 entry fee, $10. You don't have to make it 100. But where do we get to where we're in depressed, stressful states over amount of money that you just decide what's good for you, and you don't like the suspense? Nail biting is exciting, Ty Lee. Like, to leave fantasy because you want to win by 150 or not at all is you didn't get into it for that. You got into it because of the excitement. And so I urge all of you that are feeling so negative about a loss to remember why you started playing this game and enjoy the ups and downs. Enjoy the comeback. Enjoy being 0-5 and coming back, making the playoffs and winning a championship. That's one of the most fun times you're ever going to have. When you struggle, adversity, come back, win a championship. Ty Lee, I hope you don't retire. And even if you do, I'm a news show, bro. Are you still going to watch the NFL, Ty Lee? Because if so, you can be here. Anthony, any D pickup for week 16? Have San Francisco versus Baltimore stressing. I'm not sitting San Francisco's D, but I mean, we'll go through that probably later in the week, Anthony. I would probably say available defenses that are probably there. New Orleans plays. Who's New Orleans play next week? New Orleans plays Los Angeles Rams. Okay, let's see here. Bengals play. Who do the Bengals play? They play Pittsburgh, right? Pittsburgh. That Bengals aren't a bad defense. That's not a bad one at all. Yeah, so like I don't know. We'll have to get into it. I also need to know who's available, but like just off the top of my head, Anthony, those are things that I'm thinking about, I suppose. Ryan lost by 3 points, and I'm staring at Bijan's name with a minus 0.1 next to it. I'm sick, Smitty. Arthur Smith makes me physically ill. Get him out. Agreed. Sorry you went through that, bro. And I, I wish I could go back in time and take Bijan off your roster. I wish I could go back in time and know that Arthur Smith was going to do that. Do I wish I would have nailed that one? Absolutely, but we have to have teams that can weather through that kind of stuff, and it is what it is. Let's eight leagues made the playoffs in 5 advancing, 8 teams. Good. Can't wait for the dynasty and the offseason content. Good luck everyone next week. Achane or Brees in the flex. I go Achane. I go without a hesitation to ball. If he's in there, I'm starting Achane. I'm not scared off at all by a 10-point game. Brees Hall had a worse game. 0.5 PPR. Got to start 2 running backs in a flex between JT, Moss, Kyren, Swift, Bijan. Kyren's a lock. JT probably will be if he's a go. You could play it safe and go JT and Moss, and they're fighting for a wild card spot, so they're going to probably try and really win this game. So Kyren, JT, Moss is kind of crafty, but I would probably go Kyren, and then you're not messing up, you know what I mean? But what if they don't run the ball well at all? Kyren, Swift, and JT. I mean, how do you sit Bijan? Pretty easily, I guess, but we maybe hit this one later in the week if the chat wants to vote on this one. I would say Kyren's obviously a lock. He shouldn't even be in this conversation, but I think you just wanted me to have all the information. But I'd say Kyren, probably JT depending on the news, and Swift if you were to potentially just use logic to say let's throw down the 3 best players. But there's something to JT and Moss together that gives you some sort of comfort. Lost Jamar, soft chase. Who, Reed or Odell? I'm going to go Reed. As long as he's healthy and looks good, he continues to thrive. $10 hauler from Gamer.
To the moon.
Gamer, appreciate your $10 wad, broski. I'm currently rostering Eagles D and Rams D. Should I drop the Rams D to get the Colts D? I would. The Colts are really good defense, bro. Very crafty. Do I drop the Eagles kicker for the Bills kicker or someone else? Honestly, with kicking, bro, every scoring format's slightly different. I'm picking up the highest scoring kicker. And you could look at the last 4 weeks and go that route, but who's scoring more in your format? For me to just act like I feel like this kicker is going to pick it up and start scoring differently, it doesn't work like that with kickers. By this point, the average is the average. And as long as there isn't some crazy trend that's occurred in the last month or two, so take a look at the scoring. Then switch it out. But kickers, it's more of who's scoring more, bro. Put that kicker in and get that 10 points. I need a lineup for week 16. 2 wide receivers, 1 flex, 1 QB, 2 running backs, 1 tight end. Allen's your starter. Puka and Devonta Smith. We'll wait on Keenan Allen. If Keenan Allen can go, then that would be, let's see here. It's 2 wide receivers. So that would be your flex for now. Let's go down. Kyren and Achane. And Barkley. Okay, James Cook. Damn, bro. That's tough. I guess you got to go Cook. You got to go Achane. You got to go Kyren. So those are your 3. So really it would come down to Puka and either Keenan Allen or Devonta Smith. If Keenan's 100% healthy, he's a great play. But then again, doesn't have Herbert throwing to him. Is he the same player? So it's going to come down to Keenan Allen and Smith. And to be honest with you, bro, we just got to wait a little bit of time. And Likely's a very good option. I'd probably roll with Likely, and I'd probably go, right now I'd go with probably the Philly. I'd probably go with the Philly D, I suppose. The Rams this week, the Rams this week face the Saints, right? I don't know. That defensive question is tough. But I'd probably say give me that Eagle D. They're playing the Giants. But Achane, Cook, and Kyron. It's hard to sit Barkley, though. But if Achane's questionable at all, then you go Barkley in that spot, by the way. What's up, Smitty? Niners broke the Eagles, man, says Hassan. I don't know. Like, I know that's the easy way to think about it, but remember that the Niners got broke too, bro. The Niners were broke for 3 straight games. And so I think teams are allowed to have some ups and downs, especially when they've proven so much. And I think anytime, and I know you're a Niner fan and that's fun. And I don't blame you, and I'm not mad at your take at all. But when you look at a team like the Eagles who have 10 wins, 1 less than the Niners, there's not much you can really say in a negative fashion toward a team and say, like, yeah, they're trending in this way or that way. But the Niners lost 3 games and looked like they lost their way completely. On defense, they looked awful. They moved Wilkes to the field instead of having the defensive coordinator make the calls from the box. They moved him to the field, which has a hint of desperation that they're about to fire you. Like, we're going to move you to the field and just hope this does something. And then they made that trade. And then their defense got better. Then Brock Purdy was healthier. I think he played concussed that next game. I truly believe that's why they kept losing in that 3-game span, because I think Shanahan is reckless with his players. And I think that Brock Purdy suffered a concussion at the end of that game he suffered a concussion in that first game, right? Threw a bunch of picks while he was concussed. They realized he had a concussion. He played with a concussion. And then at the end of the second game, I think he got concussed at the end of the game. And he still played the night. It was crazy. But the Niners went into the bye week and turned it around. So, I mean, like, the Eagles are a tough team. Losing a very tough game. Seattle was playing tough. I don't look down on the Eagles for losing that game. I look at the Seattle Seahawks and Pete Carroll and just say flowers. But I hear you, and I know you're excited. For my same name buddy Chicago defense. For my same name buddy Chicago defense. I don't know what that means, Anthony, but I appreciate you, bro, for dropping the super chat. Maybe I'll see something else that you super chatted. Hey, Ty Lee, I'm in 3 leagues, all started 0-3, teams near identical, and I'm in first or second and moving on to round 2. Got to keep the face, says Compton A's. Compton dropping a super chat to Ty Lee just to communicate. That's amazing. Thank you for the super chat. Smitty, you're the GOAT, but Spinato's Pizza, hands down. I appreciate the different, opinions, and look, Spinato's is a pretty good place for pizza. I agree. But Lou Malnati's, and it's not for everybody. It's a unique taste, but it's the number 1 pizza in the world that I've tasted, to be honest with you. And that's why I constantly promote them, even for free, even if I'm not doing a promo. The other night we went over and, they took care of us. It was an amazing time. I didn't have to say all the things I said about Lou Malnati's. Raj didn't have to, but we genuinely felt the way we felt, and I always do whenever I eat it. I knew what I was going to say because I've always eaten their pizza, and I love it. I promote them for free all the time, but they take care of me. They're amazing. I love Lou Malnati's. And Raj, actually, when the camera was off, he said, I'm not joking, 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. He said he microwaved the leftovers after the Niners beat the Cardinals. He went back to his hotel and he microwaved the leftovers, and he said that it was still like a 7 or an 8 microwaved. He was like, I can't believe it. Yo Smitty, first season following the show, stayed true and went 2-4, 4-3 to the 1 seed after being 2-4 and 4-3 in both leagues. Haven't lost since. Thank you for the guidance, and sorry about the cards, bro. Good luck rest of season. Thank you, Fonz. Appreciate the $10 hauler, by the way. Without you guys, this channel wouldn't be here. Like, I truly feel I work for you, and thank you all for dropping supers and keeping this channel thriving. And we're growing because of you. Without you, this isn't here. I can't even do anything without you guys. I'm a nobody without all of you. I always try to remind myself of that, remember that, and I can't thank you all enough for all the super chats, the likes, the shares, telling people in a sports bar that's wearing a Dak Prescott jersey that Smitty just said that, he likes Buffalo better. So says Josh Allen's going to work over BP3 $500 league Once the buy-in is paid, it's good as gone. We gambling. One this week. Running back CMC, AK, JT, Achan. Sit Achan if JT's back. I wouldn't, but it depends on the news. Like, we are waiting for the news. You know, like, we can't just 100% make that determination. Chicago lose is better than Arizona lose. It could be, but I highly doubt it. I mean, unless it's something that's in just the water, and some people say that about like New York pizza. The reason it's so good is the water like is different too. But the ingredients and the way they cook it and the shipped in like dough, like everything about it is probably a formula that does not change. And I have had, I can't say I remember side by side, but I've had Luz. The first time I had Luz was in Chicago. And so when it came here to Arizona, and everybody in the Instagram are like, Luz isn't an Arizona pizza, it's Chicago. Like, no crap. Like, I understand this. I understand. I'm not a complete idiot. Okay, they migrated to Arizona because guess where all Chicago people migrate to for the summer? Arizona. Arizona is the most Canadians and Chicago natives that come here for the entire summer or just move here, period. We have so many Chicago transplants. So Lou Molinati's, based on the data, said the only other place to go to, aside from Chicago, was Arizona. They came to Arizona, opened up like 3, 4, 5 locations. They're kind of all over the Phoenix metropolitan area, and they kill it here. And they're absolutely the best pizza, not only I think in the country, but the best in Arizona, because this is a Chicago deep dish that came over to Arizona and said, let it hold our beer and we'll show you how it's done. And it's weird how territorial people get. Like, I don't know if Aldi's getting territorial. Arizona having Luz is sad. Why? What is the deal with everybody being so upset that somebody can say the best pizza in the world is in Arizona and Chicago? What makes you so upset about that, Aldi? That you just can't handle, that you even know Luz is amazing, but you don't like Luz in Arizona. You're basically saying you don't even know. You haven't even tasted it. You say Chicago's Luz is better than Arizona Luz. How do you know, Aldi? Have you ever tried them? Have you ever tried both, or are you just trying to hate on Arizona? It's not a good look, Aldi. It's not a good look at all. I appreciate you, but it's not a good look. Thanks for everything, Smitty. Now let's take this money. Compton, I appreciate you dropping the super chat, being an absolute monster. You're the man, the myth, the legend. Let's open up the phone line, shall we?
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Arizona can't have... The amount of people that got so mad at my Instagram post, too. About Arizona. I'd move to Arizona if I didn't live in Hawaii and I'm from Chicago. But why are you mad about Arizona having Luz, bro? Like, why does it piss people off so bad to hear somebody utter the words Arizona has got amazing pizza? Arizona doesn't have good pizza in general. That's the point of why Luz coming here was such a smart business decision. Not only because the data said that Chicago natives migrate, transplants go to Arizona, so they're going to eat this pizza up. Chicago people are like, God, I miss Luz. God, I miss Luz. About, let's just call it 20%, 15% of Arizona people are from Chicago. Born and raised, or their family is, or something. And they're sitting here going, Lou Molinati's opened up in Arizona. They knew they'd kill it. But for some reason, people just get so pissed off and they can't accept it. They have never tasted Lou Molinati's in Arizona. But people will come in and say, Smitty, it can't be good. It's Arizona. It can't be. Ron Navy, you're live.
Cry. They deserve that game. Coaching sucked. Bad coach. Prevent deep. Play prevent.
Ron, you're cutting in and out. We're hearing about every other word.
Why did they get off the gas?
Ron, try calling in again. You're cutting in and out. Try calling back, Ron. We can't hear you. You're cutting in and out. I wanted to hear Ron complain, but it was like you were hearing half of his complaint, so it felt like a fourth of a complaint. Jermaine, you're live.
Hey, Smitty.
What's up?
I didn't expect to get through this soon, but damn, A.J. Brown did his thing, man. But look, I'm not mad. I'm happy this stress is over. I'm still in 3 league, but the big money league, the 12 grand league, I lost.
I'm sorry, bro.
2 points. By 2 points. Those last 2 plays of the Eagles game, the one he went out of bounds,
I'm
and
sorry,
the
bro.
interception. I'm not mad. I'm not mad,
Yeah.
man. I'm not mad. You know what? It was a great experience. This is why we play fantasy football. This is why I'm coming back next year with a vengeance.
Yeah. Revenge
But,
tour.
hey,
We've got a revenge tour list. I'm so excited to announce that. And Ron, I don't know if you're calling back. Call back, Ron. I think Ron's trying again. We have a Marsmen list of players. We have a Moonmen list of players, and I'm going to add Saturn men, which will be nice in a way because I think I can keep all the lists pretty small, and they're all going to have a little bit different meaning to them. In some way or shape or form, but it'll allow me to not make a Moonman list that has 17 players or something. I think I can keep it like at, 5 Mars men, 5 Saturn men, and then maybe like 10 Moon men. And at the end of the day, it's going to be like 3 or 4 more players, maybe at most, than we had this year on just the, Moon man list. So,
but here's a quick funny story. In week 13. Late night, I wanted to pick up a kicker just to have him because I don't have any more fabs. And I made the mistake and dropped my kicker, my current kicker that I was playing Monday, McPherson. And I would have won that game. If I would have won that game, I would have been in the.
I'm sorry, bro.
To the next round.
I'm sorry, bro.
But look,
for my own super chat sake, I'm sorry. Because I think you said if I win, Smitty, I'm dropping a big one.
I discovered you. I wish I discovered you early in the season, but look, I'll be listening. Thanks for your help. Here's to 2024. I will be listening.
Well, hey, there's no break. There's no, we're going to come back in April. It's January 1. January 1, we're discussing the 2023 season because it'll still be going on, the playoffs and all that. But we will be dropping straight 2024 fire. The entirety of the offseason, my guys. So just get ready for it. It's going to be an unbelievable offseason. I'm going to hit it stronger than ever. And on top of that, I know I've said this before, but I can't guarantee I'll stay on the exact course that I have planned out. But I'm gonna literally try and create a freaking video every single day on the Dynasty channel. If anybody hasn't subscribed to the Dynasty channel, here is the link right now to the Dynasty channel. I'm going to drop it in the live chat, and I'm planning on having a video a day on the Dynasty channel. A video a day, a live stream or a video every single day, and I'm going to miss days, but maybe I make up for it, But I want to literally grow the Dynasty channel to rival this channel. So please subscribe to it.
I'm pleased. I'm going to. Smitty, I'll let you go on.
All right, later, Jermaine.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, later, pal. Ron Navy, let's see if you're calling from underwater again. As most people said, you sounded like you're underwater, or if you were still.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good there so far.
Okay. So, yeah. How was your steak?
You know what? I was a little disappointed, man. When I bought my grill, I had the bright idea to do it at like 8 o'clock at night. So I went to Home Depot. They were still open, or like 7:45. And then on the way home, and I think it was Sunday night, right? And I was watching the game on my phone. I was watching it as I was walking through Home Depot. If anybody ever sees me out and about, and as the show gets bigger, I do run into people once in a while. Usually if there's a game on, I'm walking like this and I look oblivious. I'm like, well, I'll stop and I'm watching the game. I'll go down the aisle and I'm stopping. I'm watching the game. Like I'm taking so long to go through a store. And anyway, so I go and I get the grill, and it's heavy as hell, man. This thing took like 3.5 hours to put together. It's really a 2-man job to carry it, but I carried the box. I got a bad back that I pulled too, and I somehow didn't pull it again. Put it all together, but I had to go to the store because I had no steaks, nothing. And I went to a store really late at night. It wasn't a horrible store, but like they had like a real poor choice of, prepackaged steaks. And So I cooked them, and the steaks were really meh. So it was still good though. I cooked onions, asparagus, steak. It was nice. Just get it going. The first time. I'll probably do a lot of breakfast on it.
Yeah, the grill worked good though for you.
Yeah, I'm hoping. Is it supposed to look like stained the first time you do it? Like it's really like got dark spots from the like. Is that I mean on that flat grill like that? Is it supposed to look like it's been used for like months? Because I was like, did I already screw it up? Did I season it wrong? It didn't look spick and span after I scraped it and everything. And I don't know. Can you use a metal scrape on that? Like I wasn't sure on this flat grill. It's like a Hanmachi Benihana's grill type of thing. I was just a little bit like unsure about what I could do with it. Like I don't want to scrape. There's so much talk about ruining that surface that I'm like, you can take a metal. Is there a certain metal that you need to use to scrape it?
Well, yeah. Well, the thing about it is like they're supposed to mimic the grills like. You go into a restaurant and they got those type of grills, like especially like breakfasts. They have those grills, or Waffle House has those type of grills. But the surface on these grills that you buy is not as thick. So, you get normal stains and all that. Just keep a nice when you're done using it. Coat it in oil. Keep it coated. Keep it. So
coat the flat. So it's a flat, like it's a Benihana. Like when you go to, I don't know if anybody has Benihanas or Hanmachi, where they go and the guy makes the onion train and puts the oil in it, lights it on fire, and goes choo choo, and he moves that place. Where they shoot the shrimp at you, you catch it in your mouth. Right. I love having this. Who's talking in the background there?
I don't know.
Is that Sebastian or is that the 661 caller? Maybe mute whatever you got. Yeah, mute if you could. 661, who is this and where are you calling from? I'm just going to put you on hold here.
Oh, this is Bakersfield.
Who?
Bakersfield.
And what's your name?
Paul.
Paul. Okay, Paul, mute yourself if you could, and Sebastian, if you can mute. Anyway, I got this grill, and so there's so many things to like worry about with it because you read how people ruin it. Ron talked about his grill that he had, but I can't wait to cook breakfast on it. So Ron, when I coat it with oil at the end, am I turning it on like medium and letting the oil kind of bake into it, and then do I wipe it down after, or do I let the oil sit there and don't touch it?
Yeah, you wipe it down and then put a nice fresh coat of oil on there. So you keep it. You want to like in the chat, like a cast iron skillet. Like with a cast iron, you really kind of just wipe it, and then you put a little fresh oil in it to keep it good and seasoned. You got to treat it like a cast iron.
So when I put the oil on it, don't wipe the oil off. You pour the oil on it, spread it out, and then walk away.
Right. Wipe it off. Clean it off.
Yeah, I got that.
And then when you're all done with the cleaning the grub off of it and stuff, then you put a nice little coat of oil on there.
Leave the coat on. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
The coat on.
It just your natural instincts, like, is that gonna, that's crazy. But anyway, it's great. I think what I'm gonna do after cooking the steak and it kind of like, and I'm not saying I can't find a better cut somewhere and I'm gonna be very happy, but I think what I'm gonna end up doing is cooking a lot of breakfast on it. Because it's like it'd be awesome to throw bacon everywhere, throw pancakes in the corner. The size of the grill, the skillet's like this big. It's huge.
Right. Yeah,
all right.
They're good for that. But anyway,
go ahead.
I was gonna say what I tried to say when I called in. I'm like to all the San Francisco fans out there, cry Eagles, cry. They deserve to lose that game. And we're holding Arthur Smith accountable. We want him fired. Well, Sirianni needs to be held just as accountable. That was terrible coaching. Terrible coaching. You hear about prevent defense. This is prevent offense. Why you take your foot off the pedal when you're already driving good, and then all of a sudden, oh well, we're just going to run the ball.
I agree. I agree with that.
That was bull. And you know what? Sullivan for the Vikings did the same thing. They lost this week. They lost 2 weeks ago because of him. Because he took his foot off the gas. Because he didn't play. He left too much time on the clock. he didn't. He took his foot off the gas. He did the same thing. So yeah, Philly. As far as I'm concerned, I hope that they. I don't care about Philly no more. They and Hurts looked like he was ready to cry. Oh my God! Yeah, I lost.
Ron
Advancing my team. I'm bitter.
Ron gets so
I'm bitter, dude.
Ron gets so
I
personal
lost
with it.
11 points. 11 freaking points because they took their foot off the gas.
Ron cracks me up because Ron, when something pisses you off, like a best ball thing or something like that, you write off that team and coach so quick.
Oh yeah. I mean, they all need to be fired as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, here's my take on it real quickly, and then I'm gonna run over to Sebastian, then I'll go over to Paul, and then I'll come back to Ron. But so hang tight real quick, Ron. My take on it is that I think that like Sirianni was very egotistical in the earlier part of the year. It almost felt like he was daring fate, like, oh, we can't lose. Like even in press conferences, even he would just like he'd have a grin on the sideline, and Jalen Hurts would save him. And I think that, Jalen Hurts is still an amazing savior that's going to make Sirianni look amazing. But can we not forget that Sirianni didn't even know Jalen Hurts was good at one point? There was a point where Sirianni was actually shopping and trying to acquire other players, potentially look to move on from Jalen Hurts, and didn't even back him in the offseason leading into his starting gig. Like, this is a guy that truly didn't see Jalen Hurts' ability until later when Jalen Hurts proved himself. And I just want everybody to remember that. I like Sirianni in some ways. I think he's done very well. I think losing their offensive coordinator has been a big kick to the nuts, and I think it's exposed Sirianni's weaknesses. He's by no means a perfect coach whatsoever, and I think what Ron said is all true. I think he took his foot off the gas. I think his arrogance definitely put him in a vulnerable spot where karma's kicking him right back in the nads again. And you have, when anything is going wrong, then, things aren't going to be as smooth because their offense is not as dynamic and dangerous as it was last year. The play calling isn't quite the same. I think Ron's right. I think had they potentially had the same staff in place walking into this game, they wouldn't have taken their foot off the gas. They would have been aggressive. It was kind of disappointing the way that they played. I would definitely say, again, though, do I think that Jalen Hurts, regardless of Sirianni, can have this team winning one game at a time and then win a Super Bowl? Absolutely. But I think that the odds in favor of them winning a Super Bowl this year, I think they've definitely gone down from where they would have been had they kept their staff in place. I think the Niners feel like it's their year unless they suffer some crazy injuries. They're the team I would not bet against. Would I be curious and have some tendencies to bet against, let's say, the Eagles, or bet against the Chiefs, or bet against the Buffalo Bills, or bet against the Cowboys? Absolutely, because I think all those teams have a lot of weaknesses. The Niners, who went through a 3-game stretch of having weaknesses and looking like they're folding, look like they're on point. But my point is, Sirianni is a liability. I think Hurts has been carrying him and could continue to. And right now, I'm not too concerned. Sometimes taking a week off can be a detriment. Sometimes not having a break at all can be tiresome, but also be advantageous. So I don't know that they need to be the number 1 seed. It would be nice, I suppose. But I think that this team is going to be absolutely just crazy dangerous in the playoffs. Jalen Hurts is just that freaking good. But it was a fun game to watch, and I do think that the Eagle fan base gives the Eagles a little bit of a bad rap too. It makes it easy for people to root against them because their fan base has been kind of nasty. In the news, they've been doing some. They're definitely not, I would say, the most kind fan base to the rest of the league and fan bases around them. And they do. The reason people say "Cry Eagles, cry" is because it's not the Eagles. It's not Jalen Hurts, really. I know you said it looked like you wanted to cry, but it's not the Eagle players. It's the Eagle fan base that the Niners say "Cry Eagles, cry," because the fan base, they're just constantly saying, they're going to do this, they're going to do that, and then the excuses if they lose. But every fan base cries, to that degree. But we'll see, man. We'll see. All right, hold on one second, Ron. Sebastian, you're live as quick as you can, bro.
I got some candidates for the revenge list. Would you be open to any ideas?
Yeah, hit me with it.
Bijan, if Arthur Smith gets fired, it's
Yeah,
obvious.
of course.
I also have Garrett Wilson with a healthy Aaron
course.
Rodgers, but I feel like that one could be a little more questionable just given Rodgers' age.
They're definitely both going to be on the list, no doubt about it.
And then the last one I have is actually Jalen Waddle. I really do think he's going to take a step up before that contract year in his fourth year because he hasn't been beating press that well.
Revenge tour. I don't know if he qualified for revenge tour. If you want to say he's going to take another step up, I get it, but that wouldn't be revenge tour for me. Revenge tour is like something happened to him. Garrett Wilson, something happened to him. Bijan, something happened to him. Waddle, he's been
He
sitting there.
was expected to be a wide receiver one though.
Yeah, but I think that expectation was a little lofty, and I don't know that he's going to – I think he's going to be near the same, if not a little bit better, sure. But I don't think you're getting – like you're not going to get Tyreek Hill and Waddle to swap places, I think, this year coming up in 2020. But Tyreek Hill is getting older. Keep in mind that if anybody – and I remember because I said don't draft Eckler – And I didn't say this about Kelsey, but we did have some conversations, uncomfortable conversations about, is this the year that we're all regretting that we didn't think ahead? And everybody's like, you got to be kidding me. Kelsey's he's probably the number one overall pick. And I didn't push back on the Kelsey first round. I pushed in as well. I'm just saying we at least had that open conversation about it. I think a lot of other people didn't at least have that conversation. Eckler, you know how many people were like, you're crazy, Eckler's the best, what do you do? Like, Tyreek Hill is going to eventually have that. Everybody drops off. Kelsey dropping off seemed impossible to everybody walking into week number 1. So it's like, I'm not saying it's this year, but I think with Kelsey, we had the conversation. We're going to have it about Tyreek, but I think he gets another year. I think before we have any sort of freak out fest. You know what the crazy thing is? Where do we rank CMC next year? Is he the one? Like, do we give him another year without
I've always
any?
Been scared to draft him because of his injury history. Like, I didn't even draft him this year.
I know, but
with that usage,
do we give him the 1.1 for one more year? I don't know how we don't have him in the top 3 or 4 overall, and I think most communities absolutely will. But it's like he was a guy that everybody wrote off. You know, and we were very, very scared of him 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and for good reason. He couldn't stay healthy. You know, remember that? Remember I said that year that he came back, trade him. He's coming back, trade him. And that guy came in and goes, you're going to pay. I'm going to be in your chat every single day. And you're telling people to sell CMC. And then CMC came back and got immediately injured. And that guy vanished. He never came back again. Like that year, that was 2 years ago now, after this season. That was a year where everybody said we're walking away from CMC. So, like, he's been so amazing this year. Don't we have to give him one more year? I don't think you can give him more than that.
I'd rather take Gibbs at that price tag, honestly.
I mean,
I'd pay for the youth and the health.
I mean, I don't blame you. I'm just so let me ask Ron, where are you ranking Christian McCaffrey next year? 1.1?
He'll probably go in the top 3, I'm guessing, just the same like with Eckler. I don't think Eckler's done per se. I think, having that coaching staff and that new offense coordinator and their lack of talent as far as their draft stunk and just everything with San Diego was off this year. I think he suffered in that offensive scheme. I don't think he's completely done, but I don't think he's a first rounder anymore, or second, maybe a third rounder now.
Yeah, Eckler, I agree. I think that depending on where you could get him, Eckler would be a guy that you would draft, but it depends where. Now, Christian McCaffrey, he turns 28 years old June 7. And so this is why it's such a tough conversation, is that every running back, if you could hold on, everybody mute real quick. I hear it's not a problem, but I hear like kids in the background and all that. Just mute real quick if you could, so that it's a little bit more silent on hold. CMC turns 28 years old in June. The only outlier that we've seen is Derrick Henry. And Derrick Henry's kind of done it at 20. Not kind of. He did do it through most of his entire 29 age season. Although he crapped the bed last week. Who knows if he bounces back? He definitely doesn't have it between the tackles, but when this team gets him in open space, he can still get going like a freight train. But his sum total stats are in the top 10 right now, so he's doing it at 29. But Eckler, 28 years old, boom. Kamara, 28, but took a big part of the season off in the beginning, was fresh, etc. So there are outliers at 28, but it just kind of matters what the circumstances are. But it's a very, very risky proposition. So if CMC's 28, I think he'd be the one guy that, look, would I take the chance in every single league? I think, like you said, I want Gibbs in one, etc. But like, you can't. I don't think you can not. If he finishes the season healthy, I don't think you can not put him in the top 1 or 2. I just don't think you can. And Birdman says Jamar Chase 1.3. I don't see how we trust him at that level when he can't stay healthy or something's going wrong year after year. Is he still a first rounder? Absolutely. 12, 13 turn picks, 8 pick overall. We'll see. I don't know exactly where Jamar Chase will be ranked for me, but I think at some point we got to recognize that this guy hasn't been able to be consistently available. The best ability is availability, and Jamar Chase hasn't proven that he's going to be available. Not to mention you've got concerns about Burrow being available, and so combined it makes it a very risky proposition for Chase to be your 1.3. I don't hate it, but I don't think Birdman you'll have to pay that price tag. Let me ask this, Ron: could you see yourself drafting Kyren Williams ahead of McCaffrey in a league? Not every league, just in a league. In one of your leagues, in a best ball draft, is Kyren Williams arguably the number one running back to some of you? It's at some level, like maybe on a rotational basis. Is he the running back 2? Is he the 1.3, the 1.2, the 1.4?
In best ball, yes.
Cairo in best ball, yeah, it's different, but you gotta get shares of everybody. So I think the way the ADP and the way things will go, people will make CMC number 1. I think CMC will be number 1. Hill will be in the top 3 probably again, but Kyren Williams will be in the top 10 definitely, and he has a chance to do as well as CMC, I think. But
I love Kyren. How much?
Yeah, but I don't think.
Let me ask you this though, because part of what we do, part of what we need to do is hit risk assessment and all that. We have to admit that there's a little, and I'm not saying it's going to sway me out of not drafting Kyren, but there is a little bit of that. Is there some holes in the thinking that Kyren's going to maintain? Is there some reason to feel like there could be collapse? Might he not hold up because, it wasn't anticipated that he'd be this workhorse back necessarily? Like and I'm not saying that's going to influence me. I'm not saying that I'm at all doubting Kyren. I love Kyren. Again, his rookie year, I was super high on him, and I admittedly didn't have him high enough this year because of the disappointment of him not doing it the year I promoted him. That's a big breakout candidate as a rookie. So, but there are some of those feelings of like, is this propped up too high? But man, he's one of the most exciting players I think to own right now. If I'm in a dynasty, I don't know why, but this is one of my favorite players to own right now, Kyren Williams in dynasty. I just, for some reason, I'm so excited about those leagues where I've got him. I just feel like he's such a gem. But what if Stafford doesn't come back? I think they'll still do okay, but who will be there? What if, if Kupp falls off, and Kupp probably will, is Puka going to be enough? He probably, but I'm so excited about Kyren. This offense is so.
Here's the thing: as well as I do that we're talking this way right now, but everything's going to change, and our opinions will change, especially leading up to draft and then after the draft, because we're going to see what they get as far as in the draft, as far as offensive linemen, as far as trades and pickups and all this other stuff. every team will be different in how we look at the players based on how they draft and the players they pick up in the off season, so we're saying that now because of the year they're having, but really we got to see what's going to happen with all that other stuff that we get into you get into during the off season. And so I suspect that our opinions from now and then will vary on different players. Some may stay the same, but some will change due to, just the fact of either they're not picking up the right players or they picked up great players and we're higher on them.
I think the risk of not drafting CMC as the 1.1, if available, or let's say somebody takes somebody else and he's there at 1.2, the risk is a far worse proposition to pass on it than to grab him and him get hurt. I just think that he's the 1.1 as long as he finishes the year healthy. And Niners says Smitty's been saying if he finishes it healthy. Niners, he had literally the biggest injury risk label for 2 straight years out of any player in fantasy football. So get out of here with your slanted Niner take on that. McCaffrey 100% entered week number 1 in Carolina as a player that everybody's like, what in the hell do we do? Like when he came over to the Niners, he was 100% a big liability in fantasy for 2 straight years of crumbling. And everybody had doubts in fantasy football across the entire fantasy space about whether he would ever return to his elite self. Now he did, and he looks fantastic. So it's reasonable to say if he doesn't suffer some sort of injury. And plus, Niners, you're looking at it the wrong way. Like, what if he went out and tore his ACL tomorrow? Like, that's also what we're talking about. We're not talking about if he necessarily stays healthy with his injury history. We're just saying if he, at the end of the year, he's not down with the torn Achilles or an ACL, which could happen to any running back, he will be, that's a caveat, Niners. He will be the 1.1 across the board in the fantasy industry. And we're just having a honest conversation about whether that's legit. And according to what we're all coming to right now, at least on the phone line and in the chat, he is. He's legitimately and should be considered the 1.1 in 2024 if all ends the same. He will be one of the few 28-year-old running backs that we will say is deserving of that chance because the risk of passing on him is greater than the risk of drafting him. So Kyron's top 5 to me, lock. Rachaad White, this is a great question from Trump 2024, says Rachaad White, top 15 pick. At this point, absolutely. At 15 to 20, second round pick for sure. Some might say earlier, but I think that the natural instinct to have so many wide receivers piled into that top 12 that you will see him fall into the second round. Some could depend on how he finishes too. If Rachaad White has, let's say, 3 straight 100-yard, 150-yard game, 100-yard game, and 120-yard game, and like 3 total touchdowns in the next 3 weeks, I mean, you're gonna have Rachaad White climb into the first round. So a lot depends on how a player finishes, right? So we got a lot of time left. Let me head on over to Paul. Paul, you're live.
Sorry about that. It was bedtime.
No problem, bro.
First round, beat my guy. 160.
You're cutting out. You're cutting out too, Paul. I hate that you waited this long and then we can't even hear you.
So I have first round.
Paul, it ain't changing, Paul. Paul, try calling back, bro. Try calling back, Paul. We can't hear you. Let's see here. Tyler, you're live. What can I do for you, Tyler?
Hey, just wanted to weigh in on it.
Maybe it's my phone line. Ron, talk.
I think it might be. I think it might be your phone line.
I can hear you just clear.
I can hear Ron.
Hear me now?
You can hear me fine.
Maybe it's my phone line.
Hear me now?
Okay, yeah, go ahead, Paul. Let's try it again, Paul, and then we'll go to Tyler.
Sorry about that. I had first round winnings. I won my first round with Hurts, Rachaad White, James Conner, and with Ty Chandler at the flex. My wide receivers, man, I put up a prayer. I had Tyreek Hill, Chris Olave, and Marquise Brown all out. I picked up DeMarcus Robinson, Curtis Samuel, and I played Zay Flowers.
Attaboy.
Still won.
Attaboy.
Yeah. So I'm keeping Curtis Samuel. Both Olave and Brown are like with heel problems. I don't know. Maybe they just need to invest in some Heelys. Maybe they'll be all right.
Some Heelys.
Man,
aren't those
aren't Marquise Brown?
Aren't Heelys the thing with the wheels, bro?
Yeah.
No, I don't think that's like a
Keep
padding.
rolling.
Oh, okay. All right, bro. Well, nice job.
So do I drop Brown, Marquise, and try to pick up Noah? Noah Brown's on the waivers.
Probably. I mean, you're talking about crunch time. I don't love Hollywood right now. I think Noah Brown's a very, very solid play, especially if Stroud plays this week. But it's crunch time.
Yeah,
You got 3 weeks left.
Yeah. But what's a good defense to stream the next week? That's my only question.
Yeah, well, call in when you got some questions on that. I mean, to just generally tell you that's too vague of a question, bro. I don't know who's available. I went over that briefly. I said the Bengals are kind of a decent potential play, but it just depends on who's available. But let's hit that during the week when we're a little bit more in week 16 mode. All right, Paul.
Cool,
Congrats, bro. Nice job. Tyler, you're live.
And on your who should be the 101 thing, it's Christian McCaffrey, bar none, hands down for what he's doing this week, no matter how old he is next week. And the question that I have is, what is your thoughts on Metcalf? Drew Lock is not.
It must be my phone line. I don't know if my phone line needs to be rebooted, is what it probably could be. Although Ron's very clear now. That guy was very clear again. I don't know, but it seems like it's a problem with my phone line. I might have to reboot. I think you said something about Christian McCaffrey needing to be the 1.1 no matter what or something. But, I mean, bro, like I said, I know Niners was taking it personal because it's a Niner. But it's more about when I say healthy, it's like he can't tear an ACL or something or he's done. Like Christian McCaffrey can't go through an ACL recovery this late in the season or something. And no one's trying to put bad injury juju out there, but he's saying, complaining about me saying caveat, if he finishes healthy and everything, he's the 1.1. So you're making me explain that. And so, call the injury potential bad mojo your fault by questioning it, Niner, and having me trying to explain it. But I do believe that if, like we just said over and over, that if McCaffrey finishes healthy and everything's good, then yeah, he's going to be the 1.1. I mean, how could he not? Like I said, the risk is higher to bet against it than to bet on it and get burned by an injury. But there is that potential drop off that happens to everybody. And it's just like, at what point do you take that risk? Like with Diggs. Diggs is what? Is Diggs 30 or 31? Ziggy, how old is Stephon Diggs?
Stephon Diggs is 29 years old.
29 years old.
On November 29, 1993.
Okay.
Petersburg, Maryland, in the United States.
Yeah, so he just turned. Ziggy, stop. Ziggy, off. He just turned 29. So technically speaking, this is just to. I'm sorry, Tyler. I'm not going to answer any more calls because my phone line needs to be rebooted anyway. I'm sorry, Tyler. We'll get you next time. I think that technically speaking, Diggs should be okay because he won't even be 30 years old when the season starts. He'll still be 29. I don't think that's breaching any territory of physical, like his talent isn't there. His might be all mental, which could step on his ability to still perform and do well. Like, I don't know, especially if he goes somewhere stupid. Like, these wide receivers sometimes don't know what's good for them. Antonio Brown was traded to the Buffalo Bills. If anybody remembers that, it was like a 15-minute amount of time he was a Buffalo Bill. And he refused to go. He said, I'm not going. I'm not going. I don't know if he said the words like I'll retire or whatever, but he said, I'm not going. I'm not playing for the Buffalo Bills. I'm not going. And Tony, this is the beginning, Ron, when he was out, or when he was out of Pittsburgh. and they just had enough of him. The problem, the locker room problem, infection was growing, and we didn't really know what we were dealing with then. It became later on that Antonio Brown started to unravel, but he was traded to the Buffalo Bills and didn't understand how good Josh Allen was going to become. Didn't understand that it could have been a good situation for him. Instead, he wanted to go to the Raiders. And he goes to the Raiders, then wants out of the Raiders situation. He hopped around. Granted, there's a little stint where Tom Brady kind of put him under his wing, and he did relatively decent. But Antonio Brown didn't know what was good for him. A lot of these wide receivers don't. Saquon Barkley, hope he's talking, just running his mouth about it just for the fan base's sake, but he says he wants to potentially stay in New York. That's stupid. He doesn't know what's good for him. He can't produce in New York. It's not a good place to be when he can go anywhere he wants, and or not anywhere, but being a running back. But he could probably go somewhere else where he could get a lot of production, hit incentives, etc. But I wonder what Diggs is thinking. Diggs at 29, he just turned 29 in November, physically has another 1 to 2 elite years left, physically. But if this guy says, I want to go play with Derek Carr, or he says, I want to go play with, I don't know, Ron, throw out a bad quarterback that maybe he might think is good. I don't know.
A bad quarterback?
Like a bad situation that he might think is, huh?
Ritter?
I thought you said Pittsburgh.
Well, that too.
Raiders.
That's a bad situation all the way around.
Yeah, like the Raiders, like Jimmy G. Give me Jimmy G. He's a winner. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that was pre this year. Like, when Jimmy G was signed there, I could see Diggs saying, I want to go play there. Diggs, where he ends up. Tyler, I'm not answering the phone line, and Tyler keeps blowing it up. Tyler, I'm not answering because I don't know the connection. I need to restart. I think all the incoming callers are choppy, so I have to restart my phone system. But I just don't know. I'm not ready to give up on Diggs yet, but it does depend on where Diggs goes. Stephon Diggs. Did he turn? Oh, Ziggy's wrong. He's 30. Yeah, he just turned 30, but that still gives him a year. So that's correct. Ziggy, you made me look like an idiot. He's not even saying anything. Ziggy said he was... I'm never asking Ziggy someone's age again.
Sorry, I'm having trouble understanding.
Ziggy, you're a moron.
Didn't quite get that.
Yeah, you didn't.
Say that again?
Never mind, Ziggy. Yeah, you're right. Thank you for clarifying that. He did just turn 30 in November. Okay, so Stephon Diggs is 30, but that still gives him one more year, but that gives him one less year in Dynasty. So good catch. Diggs just turned 30, but wasn't 30 when the season started. And that's kind of where the starting point is for that. So, like, if he turned 31 walking into the season, I'd have some real concerns. But turning 30, he should have at least 1 year left. So, good catch. Chargers, that would be good. Ron, where would you rank Diggs as a Charger for 1 year? That'd be pretty good.
It could possibly be good, but I mean, we still got to see what they're going to do with their GM and coach, with who they get in there, because that has a lot to do with projection on the whole team on how well they possibly can do.
Mm-hmm. Damn, Ziggy pissed me off right now. Let's ask him again. Let's see what he says. That'd be great if he changed it up. Ziggy, how old is Stephon Diggs?
Stephon Diggs is 29 years old. He was born on November 29, 1993, in Gaithersburg, Maryland, in the United States.
Ziggy,
Diggs,
isn't Stephon Diggs 30 years old?
Stephon Diggs is 30 years old. He was born on November 29, 1993.
Did you hear him switch? Could you guys hear that? Watch.
Yeah.
Ziggy, is Stephon... Ziggy, never mind.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Ziggy, how old is Stephon Diggs?
Stephon Diggs is 29 years old.
Ziggy,
Born on...
isn't Stephon Diggs 30 years old?
Stephon Diggs is 30 years old.
What a son of a bitch.
November 29, 1993.
Ziggy, off. What a son of a bitch. What a two-timing, double-talk son of a bitch.
Maybe Ziggy's calendar's off a little bit. Maybe he thinks it's still November.
But I just said, isn't
29th.
he 30? And he said, yeah.
He's playing on your downfall to spread false information.
Mm-hmm. I mean, come on, bro.
This
is my right-hand man. I rely on this guy for stats, and it just derails the show.
No wonder your stats are always all screwed up.
They're always a year too early.
Wrong right-hand man.
I'm always a year too early on some of the breakouts. It's because I'm relying on Ziggy's data.
Yeah, White is one of them. Remember last year we were huge on him. He was a moon man, and
Rashad White.
He did that. Yeah, this year he has his breakout year.
Yeah, that was. Where's the yearbook from that? Let me find the old yearbook.
But I mean, considering the fact that last year was a catastrophe for Tampa Bay and Tom Brady and their offensive line, we went into this year thinking that they weren't going to improve that much that way, but
yeah,
they have.
Rashad White looks unbelievable. But yeah, I mean, for anybody that thinks we weren't eyeing him, he's a moon man. We loved him. My misfire on his situation this year was that I didn't think that. Here's the 2022 Moon Men where Rashad White was on it, right? Oh, we didn't fit him on all of them because we couldn't fit everybody on this one. Rashad White was a Moon Man, but we couldn't fit everybody onto this board. All right, I got to wrap it up. Anything else, Ron?
No, I'm going to take my depression and But I did get one big board advance into the next round, and I got one BB4 team. The one BB4 team that I got in has McCaffrey on there, so we'll see.
All right, Ron, appreciate you, bro. Later.
All right, later.
Sebastian, final thoughts. Make it quick.
Yeah, I actually have some on the Christian McCaffrey equation. I just searched up CeeDee Lamb. He's wide receiver 2, and he's 24 years old. Do you think his age can balance out and justify, and even a talent level like Justin Jefferson too? He's also really young. Can you justify that? Weighing between those options, accounting for the injury risk and the health and the drop in age.
You mean rank the two?
I'm talking about the CeeDee Lamb, JJ, and Christian McCaffrey going into next year.
At 1.1.
Current situations.
At 1.1. In Dynasty,
could you justify that?
For sure. In Dynasty, for sure. In redraft, I think in redraft you don't want to consider age, really. As long as you believe McCaffrey will be healthy for one more year, it doesn't matter how young CeeDee Lamb is or how Lamb will get better, but at the end of the day, if we're talking Dynasty, McCaffrey's not a top 5 pick in Dynasty. If you were playing in a league where you thought it might crumble, you might take McCaffrey early, but McCaffrey, that's going to be weird where to rank McCaffrey in Dynasty though, because he's probably got the 1 year left, and he might play another year or two, but will they be injury riddled seasons in 2025 and 2026 if he did play longer? But I could also see McCaffrey hanging it up early. He seems like that kind of guy that would know when to hang it up. But we'll see. If he won a championship this year and then won a championship next year, let's just say, and I know a lot of the Niner fans are drooling over that idea, but let's say he did. I could see him walking away. Or if things started to crumble in let's say the Niners win this year and then it falls apart, I could see him walking away potentially, but we'll see. In redraft, it shouldn't matter too much. JJ and Lamb are as good as they're ever going to probably get right now. JJ's situation is the only thing that needs to be repaired. Lamb probably won't ever be better. He'll be this good or a little less, here and there, because careers are going to go like this.
Running backs are a lot easier to turn over on waivers or even value late at the draft just because they do bust so much. So that's the reason why I would think to go wide receiver and then just turn over a lot of running backs.
Well, hero running back is probably going to be the most preferred strategy this year for me, but because I want to stockpile the Ty Chandlers and just have that become my running back too. But I think having one elite running back is important. That's why Hero is probably the best. But I don't know. There's a lot of amazing wide receivers that have stepped up too. There's been a lot of receiver injuries this year, a lot of quarterback injuries, a lot of running back injuries. I think it's not very easy to pinpoint what is the best position to take. I think that's where I don't know if this is your first offseason with me or not, but you'll always hear me say best player available. That might tend to lean wide receiver heavy, though. The best player available to me will traditionally be wide receiver over running back, just based on my ranking. But at the end of the day, it's still best player available. Drafting a position over a player is how you chase second place, in my opinion.
Who's after McCaffrey just in running backs alone? Like, you're solid number 2.
You what?
I said, who's your number 2 running back right after McCaffrey?
I mean, Kyron's right up there. Gibbs is right up there. I mean, it's a big debate. We'll have the debate all offseason. All right, Sebastian, got to go. Appreciate you, bro. Later. That guy will ask. He's got a Rolodex. I appreciate him. I'm not mad at him. He's got a Rolodex of questions. Amazon Joe, are you still here, bro? I'm sorry I didn't answer this question. It's sitting right in front of me. Need a flex between Watson, Puka, and Bijan. I'm going Puka without a hesitation, Amazon Joe. Amazon Joe, I hope you're still here, bro. I'm sorry about the delay on that. I'll see you all in the morning or early afternoon. I imagine we're going to have some sort of emergency live stream of sorts. And then, of course, we'll be doing the 8 p.m. show tomorrow. I imagine we're going live at least twice, if not 3 times tomorrow, or an upload and then 2 live streams, but we'll figure it out. Appreciate you all. Kenneth Walker to the moon, Jalen Hurts to the moon, Gibbs to the moon, Kyron to the moon. See you all tomorrow. But the continuum of the gigawatt component structure of Jahmyr Gibbs' workload divide has a megawatt offload that if you compartmentalize the component conjunction timekeeper and you flux capacitor out the continuum component megavolt, things just end up happening. And that's why Jahmyr Gibbs is a top 5 to 10 running back instead of top 6 to 10.
Got him.
Alvin Kamara, a menace on the field and in casino elevators everywhere.
Run. Don't forget to Kamara that like button.
Real quickly, Amazon Joe, are you here? Where's Amazon Joe? Where's Amazon Joe? Amazon Joe, please report to the front office. Amazon Joe, please report to the front office. Hopefully you got my answer. Puka Nakua, Amazon Joe. Let me put his question up on screen and leave it here for a second. Amazon Joe, the answer is Puka. Do it live.